Well, hello class, and welcome to the start of Unit 3. Believe it or not, we are 4 weeks in to the semester, meaning, there's the deal, we only have 11 weeks left, right? So that's crazy. Well, and I guess Thanksgiving, so 12 weeks. But anyway, as it goes, we are moving quickly through the semester, and I hope that you are finding this to be an enjoyable time. And, I was thinking about this today, considering this class, it's kind of a unique delivery. It's a little bit more kind of low-key. You're not necessarily needing to be engaged all the time as far as in conversation with students, hopefully engaged in the content, of course. But I hope it's been a bit of a reprieve for you in some ways to take a little bit of a break from the busyness of just the semester. Some of you probably taking 9, 12, maybe even 15 additional units along with this class. And so being able to just spend time focused on the reading for this class and enjoy the content while not necessarily needing to really be part of a larger whole. And of course, I hope you're reading the things that others are writing, but not necessarily needing to engage in discussion. So I hope it's actually been very a nice kind of slower pace change for you in the midst of this semester. I know that I've enjoyed what I'm reading from you, and I told you I'd be more engaged, and that's where this starts in this week. Really looking to your case studies and your questions. I hope you received my video, I think I posted this weekend on Saturday, as far as me answering some questions. And I think a lot of times I was talking to a colleague of mine who actually in my new role here doing career strategy, was talking to my predecessor who actually used to be an employee at AP with me. And one of the things that she was saying is we were talking with a number of students, and this is really kind of the case when it comes to serving our clients, but also as I talk about this class and the questions that you ask. And more often than not, though I know it's not our favorite answer, the answer really is, it depends. Because there's so many variables involved in each scenario that the answer really is, it depends, because it's different. It's different for the client, it's different for the counselor. The work that you do is different than the work that I might do. My approach is very different than the next person. And so the answer of it depends, while it's not always our favorite answer, is in fact sometimes the best answer. So when I'm looking at what you're writing, I'm looking at things that you're saying, how you're engaging with the content of literature, that response of it depends really is something that's pretty common. And of course, I kind of explain why I'm thinking it depends and what the different scenarios and variables may be. But I think as we're walking through this, realizing that flexibility, kind of malleability, adaptability is really kind of the name of the game. But knowing as much as we can, right? So knowing a number of different theories and practices and techniques so that when it comes to working with our clients, we can be the most prepared to serve them in the best possible way and provide them with the best answers, the best thinking, and really even the best theory-based questions that pull the answers out of our clients rather than stuffing in what we think is actually correct with relationship to what it is that they're going through. So as I've said, I think in the previous 2 units, I'll probably say for every unit from here on out, this unit's content is really important. So I want to talk a bit about just kind of where we're headed. So where we've been. So we've had some great weeks of sharing thoughts and ideas, and like I said, looking for some more responses from me now as I read through your content. Hopefully you all got your papers back and saw the grades that you were given on that. If you haven't, let me know, and maybe there's a glitch in the system that's not revealing that, but I did get them back to you I think less than a week after you submitted them, so they're there and they're waiting for you. So if you've not seen them, let me know. Grades will be updated by Wednesday of this week, so if you're curious where you stand as far as the grading scheme goes, look for that Wednesday at midnight, no later than that. And just continue to plow through. So this week, or really this unit, we will spend time in Unit 3 reading Anderson and Van de Heet, Chapter 4 and 5, looking at Chapters 7 and 8 from LipTak, and then continuing on, of course, with your vocation and calling text, the reading with that book that you've chosen to spend time with this semester. So I have not heard from any of you that you've chosen a book that's outside of the list of options. But if you do have a book that you'd like to consider reading, you still have plenty of time to read through the text and complete the assignment. But make sure, again, as I've mentioned, that you get that book approved by me, because there's some very specific content on vocation and calling that I need to make sure is covered in the literature. And most of the books that are out there that you might find, I've probably, if not read them, I've seen them and I'm aware of the content, and I can give you a good idea if they will meet kind of the parameters and criteria for what this assignment requires, okay? But if you'd like to choose any of the books in the syllabus under the optional reading list, then of course, by all means, go with one of them, because those are the ones that I've listed out for you. Okay, and we'll have some interesting conversations about even those books as we progress through the semester and the options that you have to choose from, all right? So you have the chapters we're reading, and then as far as the assignments go, you have, of course, the third unit forum discussions, so responding to the questions in there, which I'll get to in a second. And then you have 2 case studies that, again, are due by the end of our term, our unit here at Unit 3, which is actually the 7th of October, so you have lots of time there. And then as you're reading through LibTAC's 2 chapters, you have your third LibTAC 321 response. Okay, so the content we're looking at is Super's Career Development Theory, Social Cognitive Theory, Circumscription and Compromise, and then as far as LibTAC goes, Conceptualizing Developmental and Cognitive Theories. All right, so all of those are these big ideas that you'll dig into as you get into the questions in the forum discussion and the reading, of course. But some of the big ideas I want us to focus on, I want us to hone in on a couple of different ideas within this unit and those chapters specifically, okay? So a couple questions that I want you to answer. So when you look at this idea, page 69 from Anderson and Van Hee, the emancipatory communitarian approach, do you agree with the values, assumptions, practices, benefits, and risks as described in this approach? How would this approach affect your counseling practice? And I'll just tell you that this is an approach, this is a theory, this is a technique, I guess you'd say, maybe not a theory as much, although it is theory informing practice, that can sometimes be viewed as a bit controversial. So, and I want to hear from you because it gets into this idea, do you support the assertion that as professionals with the knowledge of career psychology, that you, have an obligation to be active in informing public policy affecting the distribution of work opportunities as an issue of social justice, okay? Why or why not? And if you read through that question, there's a lot packed into it, right? So do you support the assertion that as professionals with a knowledge of career psychology, okay, stop there, that we have an obligation to be active in informing public policy? Okay, so look at it that way. Do you feel that you have an obligation to be active in informing public policy? That affects the distribution of work opportunities as an issue of social justice. And again, why or why not? Remember that regardless if you agree or not, we are in a place where we are respectful of divergent ideas. We need divergent ideas, although sometimes we need convergent ideas. We have to realize that in a world of such great ideological and intellectual diversity, that we're not always going to see eye to eye. And so how do we then respond to those we might see differently from, right? So I want to hear from you. Be honest about the ways that you're thinking. Do you agree with this? And anytime I think you throw in these 2 words together, social justice, put them together as social justice, all of a sudden people's alarms, their radars go up, right? And so you either have those that are pro and those that are against, although I'm not quite sure how you can necessarily be against an idea of justice, but I think what we've done is we've construed this to mean something perhaps that it doesn't mean to some people and it does mean to other people. And so then there's this maybe disconnect, there's this, again, as I said, divergent way of thinking, which can cause for great conflict. And so, but I want you to think personally, when you, kind of in your definition, and even as you look at the content in the book, especially on page 69, as they describe social justice, do you agree with this? And again, why or why not, right? If you're looking for more, there's another excerpt from a paper. There's another journal article for you to read. And then I want you to get into the following 2 questions, okay? So consider Gottfried's concepts of circumscription and compromise, okay, page 81. Try to recall your early ideas regarding appropriate occupations as a member of your race and gender, okay? When you were a child, what occupations were considered to be prestigious by your family? And then here's an interesting, and that's kind of this idea of, if you had friends, and I know I did, that had big fancy cars or houses, and I always thought, what do their parents do? I remember my one friend, Ben, his father was a physical therapist, and they always had a brand new car. And it was always so interesting to me because we didn't hardly ever have brand new cars. And so what did Ben's dad do, right? What did Steve Mormon do that he always had brand new cars and their house was always nice? And why didn't we have that? And so when I looked at what my parents did, although I didn't fully understand what my dad did, or even what my mom, she taught violin lessons in the home, so I saw what she did all the time. but I didn't see kind of what was this. There's a disconnect, and so I think that there's a theory that explains kind of how we view things, right? So, and then here's the other thing that I want us to consider, which is really interesting, because I feel, and I'll give you a little background on the work that I do in this space, that I have to toe this line. I'm walking this very fine line on one side between building false hope. Okay, you can do anything you want to do. You can be anything you want to be, right? And you hear that a lot, especially for younger children. You can do anything you want to do. And kind of outright discouragement, right? So you can't do that. No, that's stupid. Don't even consider that. I can't believe that you would think that you could do that, right? So there's these two realities, and you have to walk in the middle, right? So here's the question. Do you think eliminating occupations is an important factor in career development, as is projecting fantasies about possible occupations? Language like, let's dream big, let's fantasize about what you could do, or you can't do that. So where do you find yourself in this place of eliminating or fantasizing, right? So those are things I think that are really important for you to think about, because if you really consider those questions, that will really impact and affect the way that you do this work, the approach that you take with clients, and how you, even the language that you use to best serve the people that you have the opportunity to work with, right? So consider those questions. I think they're really important, and much of what we do is, I'm sure you looked at, right? We're looking at these softer skills, these people skills, these relational skills, social skills that we have. In order to be most effective, it's really important that we understand ourselves. So where are you coming from? How do you view this content? How do you think about it? So that you can then implement that in the way that is most in line with your convictions, your approach, the ways that you think, the ways that you act, the way that you talk, and so forth, the words that you use. And all of this will then help to, if you think of like a funnel, all these ideas you're putting into the top, and it's going to squeeze them out, kind of like if you think about if you make a cake and you have the frosting squeezer, you squeeze it toward the bottom and it goes something big, these big ideas, and then it comes very small at the tip to then ice the cake. And I think in some ways that's what we're doing here, is we're taking lots of ideas so that you can squeeze these ideas out to really form, in some ways, who you are in this line of work, right? In this space. How do you think? What do you do? Why do you do what you do? And how do you then, choose between this theory or that technique as the best approach that you personally want to take? All right, so great questions this week, some great case studies. I'm looking forward to getting your questions from LipTech so I can then respond to them next week. And if I can help in any way, please let me know. I'm here to support you. You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work. We will continue to press on and just kind of move forward one step after the other. Like I said, if you're not reading your vocation and calling book yet, I would encourage you to do that as soon as possible. And if you have a book that you'd like to check out that's different from the ones in the list, make sure that you get it approved by me so you're in the same vein, or I guess in the same lane of what we're trying to approach, with a focus on vocation and calling within the greater context of career development. All right. Hope you have a great week, a great unit. Thanks so much for your commitment to our class. If I can help in any way, like I said, please let me know. I'm here to support you. I'm looking forward to reading more of what you're sharing this week and next, and I look forward to seeing you online.